Hello there, Chick Chatters. We are back with another Love is Blind episode 8, and we pick back up with a drunk Izzy and Stacy get back to their apartment, and they're both drunk, and you can just, it's all over them. Stacy is also drunk, but Izzy's really not looking in the right directions most of the time. But he's upset that Chris was going to go against him. Why are we talking about Chris?
This whole conversation is just bad.
Izzy's got some weird kink for Stacy bullying people, especially Johnny. I guess bullying might not be the word, because I'm going to pull up the post actually that Stacy wrote about this incident, and I'll read it after this conversation. But I mean, I guess it's like what Milton says, everybody's perception is their reality. Like, Stacy and Izzy start talking. He shows her the flowers that he got her for Monday, because apparently it's Flower Monday, and he's so drunk he's like slurring the hell out of that. Ooh, flowers over there.
Flowers.
I kept catching Izzy slurring, he was slurring for his life during this conversation. He was trying to get anything out.
They would have done themselves justice by just keeping the conversation at that. Like, look, there's flowers. I love it. And then
Stacy wanted to dive into some nonsense while Izzy was drunk as a skunk.
I know.
I was like, this is not the time to have this conversation. Have it in the morning. Yeah, they're drunk, slurring about Flower Day. Stacy doesn't get why Izzy isn't looking out for Chris. She just starts kind of digging into it. She's all pissy now that the situation happened. Also mad that Izzy does have this kind of kink about Johnny, which I get it. She's like, I don't want to be compared to that mess, I don't want you grateful for me now because you could have had that. I get that point, but just let it die. You've already said it. He's already looking at you like a lost dog. Just
right. And Stacy's comparing her own self to Johnny. When Izzy says something in this conversation about dismissive of Johnny, she was just a pod chick. And then all of a sudden, Stacy puts herself right in the same boat as Johnny. Well, I was just a pod chick. And Izzy's right. No, you are my fiance. That's a different situation. Even if they don't get married, it will always be a different situation, a completely different level of commitment, completely different experiences with each other. And so I don't understand if Stacy doesn't want to be put in the same boat as Johnny, and don't put yourself in the same boat as Johnny, and don't be bothered by her. If you really think you're that much better than her, let it go.
Yeah, girl, like Milton's Pokemon, you've evolved, girl.
You're on X and she's on Y. Get with the program. Milton needs to give a TED Talk to all the Love is Blind.
He's the best thing to happen to this season. You can tell that Izzy's feeling inadequate because he's trying, but it's not enough. It seems like he's doing these little things for her. He got there the flowers. She's like, oh, but why aren't you cooking for me? Mm-hmm. And it's I get it. He made some promises to you. It's like this man ran for president and she voted for him, and he's not fulfilling all of her wishes within 9 days. Give this man a break. He's trying, I don't know. I just feel like she's very easy to harp on him, even when she just got some flowers. Just enjoy the flowers and go to bed.
If you were pleased with him about that, just be pleased with him about that. If you have a real problem about dinner or not getting your feet rubbed or whatever else he promised you, have a conversation about it when you're both sober and you can talk about how to fix the problem.
Yeah, and then what do you expect's gonna happen? Izzy goes off in a closet and cries. And Stacy, she's gloating to her camera. She's like, I have no regrets.
Yeah, I've cooked, I've cleaned, and then she hops herself with her little toe pointed and everything, it's some kind of acrobatics off the counter. I have given. And it's okay, Stacy, you have given some dinners and probably some cleaning and whatever. This man is over here crying in the closet because of what you just said to him. There's something you're not giving. You picked the most emotionally connected man. He is the most in tune with his emotions, good or bad. Mm-hmm. You cannot just walk around saying mean things to him and think that you can just be I've given. I hated that. I've given. I'm do you not understand that he's sad right now? Or do you think you guys are just arguing who does better housework or something? This is deeper for him.
Where's Izzy's flowers? He got you flowers. Don't act like this man hasn't given you anything. It's not like you got JP. You could have got JP. That you could say, I have given. If Taylor said that,
Taylor has given.
I would be yes, Taylor, you have given. But no, Stacy, just chill. Yeah, Stacy finds Izzy in the closet and he's crying about not feeling good enough for her. Tells her a little bit, but then he doesn't want to talk about it. And then they show, her leaving the closet. And then they show Izzy stumbling out of this closet crying. I was like, why did you do him like that?
Like, I get they could have shown his face, like maybe walking up, to shut the door. But to get him, like, on his hands and knees, like, I just felt like it was kind of like demoralizing. Like, obviously that's the state he was in, but I don't know. There's so many things they cut. Like, you could have just showed his tearful face.
They cut literal couples out of this show, but they literally couldn't cut like a 2-second scene that would make Izzy feel like, I don't know, like less of a human. Like,
I would feel that way. Like, if that was me, I would be like, wow, that's one of my weakest moments. Like, not that it's a bad thing that he was like that, but like, you're in a weak space, like vulnerably, then you'd have no defenses up, and then you open up the closet and there's a camera there with probably 1 or 2 people and a light. Like, it's just, I felt bad. The filming process.
You're drunk, you're sad, you got this little ferry truck driver woman telling you she's given, and you just want to go cry in the closet for a second, have a moment, and then like you said, there's just this camera in your face, like Britney Spears style. Like, no, this is not okay. Then they cut to Lydia and Milton, who are like the opposite. They're having this beautiful talk in bed. This is when he first kind of mentions how he didn't really care for how she handled the situation. But she kind of, I guess, sidetracks it like, I found my love in the pods. So I think everybody kind of had a lot to drink, maybe besides Milton. I don't know if he drinks that much, but
maybe he's just like so tall that he needs more.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, his liver is further away from his stomach and his brain, just
for that by the time it gets to it, it's pretty much digested. They have 12 days left at this point, and we catch Stacy at a workout class that she's instructing, and Izzy shows up to talk. And then I was seeing her in this workout class. I'm like, her voice is perfect for this.
I know. It's a little annoying, but it's not annoying enough. It's like so slightly annoying, it makes you want to listen more.
It's like if you were working out, it'd be annoying to the point where like you'd want to just
do it. Yeah. But yeah, there was one where she was like, hold that, don't you dare move. And I was like, Stacy's perfect for this job.
They kind of make up. They don't drag it out very long. Izzy just kind of tells her how he was feeling about that night. He brings her a gift, which is like this coupon book thing and a plunger that he wrote on that has like basically a little joke about Mexico, about how she kind of clogged that toilet. She said it was the most romantic gift she's gotten. So we'll give
I can see that. I mean, obviously there's items that could be more romantic. Everything in there was really thoughtful. It's obvious. And I mean, I really appreciated that about Izzy. He said in that conversation that he still woke up like feeling really hurt and upset with Stacy. And I think that that's an interesting way to respond to those emotions when you made a commitment to someone, to just go buy them some things that are really thoughtful and give them to them, because obviously that's going to change the mood for both of you. That's going to make you feel good. Like you've done something good for them, like you have given. I really liked the way he responded to that. That's probably not the best way to respond to every argument. You're going to need to be a little more assertive sometimes, but I did think that it was nice. I mean, I think it made both of them feel good enough to be able to move forward. So yeah, the plunger did its job.
Then we go over to Lydia and Milton for just like a second. They're just pretty much clashing over some sausage.
And breakfast. It did look pretty gross. I don't even think she was being dramatic.
Milton ate it. So,
well, Milton is a machine.
But then we go to Izzy's mom coming to the apartment to meet Stacy, and she is hesitant about Izzy kind of jumping into this so fast. I guess Stacy just kind of convinces her that she's like a good fit for him. I think his mom has a lot of good concern. You could tell that they're very close. Pretty straightforward.
I thought the dog part was funny. Like, as soon as she walked in, she had this purse on, and the dog like bit her purse right away. And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she goes, "It's okay. It's an old purse." And she reminds me a lot of my fiance's mom. Like, she referred to Stacy as sweetheart a lot, and my fiance's mom does that too, even from like the first time I met her. And that always made me feel really welcomed and comforting. Even when she's asking the hard questions, she was like, "Well, sweetheart, have you thought about this?" And I think it just helps to feel more like family in that way. It was a really nice conversation. And I thought it was sweet that Stacy brought flowers, and those flowers were gorgeous.
And it's funny because Izzy showed his mom flowers that he got for Stacy. He's like, "That's last week's flowers. This is this week's flowers." And I'm like, "Girl, you're getting flowers every week." I don't know why he set that goal for himself. That sounds expensive, but
it does. Well, Stacy requires sometimes private jets, so I'm sure this is just a drop in the bucket. But he probably, if he stopped spending money every week on flowers, he could probably afford more private jets.
That's true. Or old helicopters or whatever he likes. His mom seems like she's okay with this arrangement. She's going to support Izzy and she's going to also support Stacy. She just doesn't want them to get hurt at the end of it. But, that's just what might happen at the end of the day. It is what it is. He signed up for this. She signed up for this. And then Milton and Lydia go to meet his family. And my, is it different?
Yeah, this is probably one of the most tension-filled meetings as far as family meetings I feel like we have seen, unless I'm forgetting. I mean, I know some of them have been a little intense, but this just was, I don't know, Milton's mom was a little cold at first. She did warm up, but then the sister gets into some things.
They kind of come in and Lydia starts telling Milton's mom about how he loves the counter because the first thing he does is jump up on the counter. And then his mom says what we were kind of saying the last episode. He's just really tall. So that's just a bench for him. She's like, yeah, he loves it. She asks Lydia her last name so she can do an FBI background check on her. And the sister says it right out the gate. She's like, yeah, she's going to know everything about you before you leave here.
She didn't deny it. She just nods and, without happy. But she did seem impressed with Lydia's credentials, at least her education and, where she came from and that kind of thing. I wonder what Milton's mom does. I don't think they were ever very clear about it, but she talks in such a corporate way, even to her family, that I just wonder what she does.
So as Lydia is saying why she did the experiment and why she chose Milton and why he's just this great person, the sister kind of comes in with, well, what does a 30-year-old want to do with a 24-year-old? And Lydia talks about how men her age or older sometimes don't have that emotional maturity that Milton has. And then you see this man literally going to town on a wine bottle with his teeth.
Literally. She's like, yeah, some of the men I've been with can't express their needs appropriately. This man has a clear need right now, which is an opener, a wine key. He needs one, and he's yet to express it to his family. So I agree. I think Milton can do all of those things, but it was just hilarious editing in that moment that she's just like, yeah, he's, so functional and can
mature
things and mature. Yeah. And he's just like, and the wine cork, it wasn't even just slightly toothed. That thing was broken already on top. He'd been gnawing at that for a few minutes, like a dog. I just cannot.
What's so funny is that, that is definitely something that somebody in their young 20s does. One time I was on a beach with a guy at in the middle of the night, in San Francisco, and we had a wine bottle, and I literally tried biting the cork off, literally broke, and half the cork went inside and just was disgusting.
Me and Tyler ended up doing, we went to a Lil Wayne concert in Grand Rapids, and we went out after. We got back to the hotel at 3:00 in the morning, and for some reason we had a bottle of wine, and we wanted to go to the hot tub with it because we went to the front desk to get a wine opener for our wine, and nobody was there. And we're like, oh, we're gonna go sneak in the hot tub. So we're bashing it up against things, trying to get this wine thing to open because we couldn't get anything from the hotel. So finally we just took 2 pens and shoved them together and just plucked the thing in there. I think I was 24 when that happened, honestly. But how smart Milton is. He's a damn engineer.
It looks like he's been at that cork for a decade. It seems like that bottle's probably been sitting on his family counter for 10 years, and he just keeps going up, and he just does a little bit more every time he's over at his parents'.
Right. It probably is. It's Milton's bottle. Yeah, that's probably his test. You don't get a wine key. You have to figure out how to open this. Once you open it, you become a true man. And then after that, Lydia, I think they ask some things about what do you not like about Milton or what annoys you about Milton? And she talks about some living kinds of roommate sort of situations, and then it becomes very clear that Milton's family had no idea that they were living together. She's like, oh, your parents don't know we live together? And Milton's like, no, I didn't tell them that. And she's like, okay, so yeah, he left his plate on the couch. And that's when I actually start to have hope for Milton's mom being okay with the situation, because she says that Milton can be trainable, or he can get better at that. And to me, that felt like a don't judge him too harshly on that. Like, that's something that will grow. Like, I feel like if she didn't want anything to do with it, she'd be like, oh yeah, Milton's always been a slob. He'll never change.
So Milton's parents seem skeptical, but his sister is asking him why he's doing it. Like, in front of everybody, she's like, why are you doing this? And, then the sister's like, this is all phony. And Milton's mom then wants to talk to Lydia and the sister for some reason alone.
I know. So it's like it can't get any more tension filled in this conversation, and now you want to take her alone.
Well, the thing is that the sister and the mom both feel like Lydia is a little scripted. Mm-hmm. She's a little too prepared for this, but I'm sure Lydia's already thought about, like, I'm sure these people are going to ask me this is what I'm going to say to this. I mean, it's kind of like a job interview in a way. Like, your first meeting with somebody's parents is a little bit like a job interview. You want to make a good impression. You want to think about some of the things they might ask you. It's not really like unheard of that she would have answers for these questions, because she's also probably answered these questions for herself. Like,
right. Well, and she's already had her family meeting with Milton too. So she's already heard these questions be asked or similar ones be asked. And I know whenever I'm hearing a question asked, even if it's not to me, like, I just kind of answer it in my head.
Yeah, so they could also compare Lydia to a job resume. It seems like she's trying to mainly convince the sister. The mom seems a little bit more soft to her. Like, she seemed a little bit more like okay with it. The sister seems still like she ain't with it. His parents do ask if she has any questions for them. Like, this is like, is there anything you want to know from us? Like, Lydia's like, how important is it to name the kid the 5th? And then the sister's like, the 4th. And the mom's like, no, the 5th. So Lydia knew. If Milton wants it and there's already 4 or 5 of them, you're probably going to end up having to do it.
I think it's probably pretty important, considering it's already been done 4 times. I'm sure at least 1 or 2 of the moms have been like, can we try something different? And yet we've persisted. So.
His mom says that she sees subtle changes in Milton that a mom notices, but maybe like the sister wouldn't notice. Like, kind of the way he's responding to her, the way he, I guess, I don't know. She must not have seen him with that wine bottle. I think I can think.
I feel like Netflix's camera is the only soul that caught him with that wine bottle.
So the sister says, or she doesn't hear it in him and she doesn't see it in him, that Lydia is the one. So she's waiting for this sign from Milton, even though he's like literally over there just like sitting there like this.
She's unconvinced. I mean, by the end of this episode, there wasn't much movement there for her. So we will see, I guess. That is it for episode 8. So I would have had an emotional reaction to my fiance's sister calling my relationship phony in front of his whole family. I don't know if I would have been like mad and freaked out, but I would have felt some feelings. And Lydia did a fantastic job of controlling her emotions in that moment. She asked a question. She said, I didn't hear the answer to that. What did he say? Like, she actually made attempts to engage in the conversation in a really calm way. So I'm very impressed with that, actually. So Milton might be rubbing off on her a little.
And I hope he saw that, actually.
I hope so too.
But at the same time, it seems like she also knows that this is going to be her in-laws, so she's going to have that line of respect there. She's not trying to go into this marriage with no issues with these people. If they have an issue with her, it's kind of like you said, whatever you say to your in-laws or whatever, they're just going to remember it. But like you, if it's your parents, they're going to remember they have all these other
unconditional love will always come first.
Yes.
Like, you can say, hopefully you're not that mean to your family, but like, you can say your truth, even if it's hard to hear. But sometimes with your in-laws of any kind, like, you should really leave that stuff sometimes for your spouse to say or to verbalize or to make a stance on that you can support. But when you're the one who has to die on that hill, then you're always going to be the one on that hill. They're always going to see you as the person who stood on that hill.
And I've seen a lot of age differences, but I really think that theirs works. I don't think Lydia at 24 could date Milton at 24. I don't think that would ever work. I think she would have to be 30 for that to work. I don't think I think she could date him at 35 and him at 30 or something, but I don't think that it would be as easy if she was younger. Like, he is. If he was older, sure, but like, I don't think it would work the other way around.
And honestly, I think Lydia needs someone who has a lot of energy. Like, she commented, she's like, he's still ambitious, and I see that and I support that. I think that's a really good thing for Lydia. She has a lot of energy.
And he's not pushing for kids either, because I mean, he's not near his 30s. Like, a lot of guys, when they get to their 30s, that's when they start being more like, oh, I want a fan. Like, they kind of start inquiring about it more because they had lived their 20s, but Milton still got half his 20s left, and Lydia's not trying to have kids anytime soon. She says 5 years. So
the more and more I see them play out, I think they're a good match. I like watching them. They're perfect.
Catch you next time. All right, bye.
Bye.